Okay? We give information, and you learn information, and from there provide some suggestions and solutions, and hopefully you will see an idea or an area where you think you'll be able to help NOSLINA, and then you can jump on it and join NOSLINA. So you join the organization and work in this particular area that you are interested in. So that's basically the objective of this particular thing. We're hoping that you get involved in the discussion, and you get involved in an area where you think you'll be able to help, whether it's health, whether it's business, whether it's education. Then you join in NOSLINA and work on it. And now for the agenda, there are a couple of changes that we have at this particular point. The health, the area of the health section, you have including access to clean water and sanitation, and you have Suna Nalo. Unfortunately, Suna has been very busy doing a whole lot of things. All of you all know that. She's been very, very, very busy doing some other things. So I was able to ask Mary, who is an expert in public health, and it's a background in public health and school systems. So Mary is going to be presenting going to be presenting and with the backing of Dr. Davis Cole in a moderating and discussion. Okay, and if we go down to the area where you have Talcor, including discussion, we don't have Niyi. Niyi is not going to be here, and Lisa Cod is expected. If she's here, she'll present, but if she's not here, we'll move on. And in the closing, comments and prayers, Sheku Kalon and Dr. Taylor. That's basically it. At this particular point, I think we're about ready to start the presentations, and that's all I have. I call on Fande and Julie Fiki to present on advocacy.
Michael, bring the PowerPoint up. The ones that are being
yes. By the way, Sheku is going to be helping with time. Timing, please.
He went out, I think he's doing an errand. So can you go ahead and start?
Okay.
Because I can see
bring up the main one. Not the main one. Okay, my partner has left me, but he'll be back. Michael, go up to view. So, good morning, and thank you so much for inviting me. Advocacy is something I'm not an expert at, I have to admit. I belong to Friends of Sierra Leone, and years ago, my good friend Billy Day asked me to help her with advocacy, and I said I don't know anything about it, and she said, well, you'd help me. Well, then she left. And so I've been learning on the job. And Aya has been a wonderful help to me. And I have a handout here. Maybe
I'll give it out, Julie.
I have more than enough. And I started it with 2 proverbs because I know Sierra Leoneans are so good at proverbs. And we have a few. And the first one, and I think they both really apply to advocacy. The first one, an American proverb, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. If we don't make a lot of noise, we don't get anything. And this, I don't want to get to politics, but I see politics in this country are that much different than in Sierra Leone. And I remember last winter, my dear departed friend, Daphne Sawyer-Dunn, many of you know Daphne, and I went to various agencies in Washington, and the president of Liberia had just been here. Everybody was so impressed by that woman. She went to the World Bank, she went to the Senate, she went to President Bush, she went to the State Department. She really made herself known. She knew who to talk to. Of course, she'd been in this country. Well, guess what? Liberia is getting all kinds of aid. President Bush went to Africa, he went to Liberia, he was treated like a king. And, of course, Liberia is getting Peace Corps, they're getting aid with malaria, they're getting... And so we have to speak up, just like she did. And the other proverb that I heard in Moyamba years ago, a paddle here, a paddle there, the canoe stands still. If NOSLINA, Hartford Old Girls, Friends of Sierra Leone, if we are all doing our little things, we don't have nearly the effect that all of us do together. So I really like the idea that someone always mentioned of us uniting and working together. Friends of Sierra Leone is a small group. I know, we're all relatively small groups, and so, one voice doesn't do a lot, but 50 does a lot. And somebody in Congress once told me that one letter to Congress is ignored. 10 letters gets attention. 20 letters, you start to get action. So I really think that working together is the way to go. And as I said, I learned on the job, and I am lucky. I have a wonderful senator, Senator Ross Feingold from Wisconsin. He is a true friend of Sierra Leone and a friend of Africa. And he is now the chair of the Senate Africa Subcommittee, which is very, very important because he's the one who decides what matters come to the fore, what issues are brought up. So a few things that I've found. You really need to get to know your congressman. And I know a lot of people in this area have two wonderful congressmen who are on the Senate Africa Committee. Benjamin Cardin from Maryland and Jim Webb from Virginia. These are the people we have to get to know, and they need to know about us. Honestly, Senator Feingold told me once that he gets very frustrated because, frankly, he said, most congressmen do not know about Africa. They honestly don't care. I think this is changing, but this is where we have to be the educators. And I know we've talked about this a lot, too, that a lot of our job is to educate people about Sierra Leone. We know Sierra Leone is small. It doesn't get in the news very much. I just saw today that Zimbabwe is having major problems with the headlines. Did you ever see headlines about Sierra Leone? Even during the war, at least in our local papers, there was a little article on the third page. But we really need to let people know about Sierra Leone, why it's important. And I think, of course, since 9/11, and we hear talk about Al-Qaeda, and if you mention Al-Qaeda in Sierra Leone, people wake up and say, oh, maybe this is something we need to think about. But, and frankly, we all know this, that we need to educate people about Sierra Leone. I just was told recently by somebody in the government that Sierra Leone is Britain's child, Liberia is America's child. That's why we take care of Liberia. And I said, these days, no. These days, everybody is everybody's child. We need to think about Sierra Leone as Americans. So, as I said, we need lots of contacts with Congress. And I just put some things that I've learned about contacting your senator and your representative. Fax, email, telephone are very important. If you send a letter, these days, since this anthrax scare, any letters that are sent to Congress on the Hill need to go through some kind of inspection, and it takes 6 to 8 weeks to get there. So, but each congressman has a local office. If he's like in Wisconsin, our Senator Feingold has 3 offices, one in Madison, one in Milwaukee. I don't know where the other one is. If I send a letter to him, his local office, that has a much better chance of getting to him. But the best thing is personal contact. Sometimes my congressman, when Congress is on a break, will come around and have listening sessions, or they'll send a representative to local towns. That's great because you see them firsthand. They get to know you, and again, not once, but every time my senator comes around, I'm there. And he knows me now. He knows who I am. He always says, I know what you're going to talk about. I know you're going to talk about Sierra Leone. Yes. But in Washington, I know a lot of you live in this area, and that's great because you can go to their offices. And again, you make a personal contact. Call for an appointment. Tell them who you are. Tell them you are a constituent. That's very, very important. Politicians are politicians. They want votes. They want to do what their people want them to do.
That's right.
And quite honestly, I've gone to some congressmen, and they really don't even answer my emails. They don't answer my phone calls because I'm not in their district. I can't vote for them. If I go to Senator Feingold, Senator Cole, Representative Ryan, they listen because the first thing I say is I'm a constituent.